Afghanistan's girls are distressed. Many are in tears. A last-minute turnaround by the Taliban on allowing girls to attend secondary school has left many wondering about their place in Taliban-ruled Afghanistan.
Dreams for the future crushed once again. The Taliban's sudden reversal means girls above the 6th grade can't go to school until further notice. They threw our dreams in the dirt. We are girls and we want to become doctors or engineers, but they don't want us to study at all. Is it a sin that we are girls? Is it a sin that we study? Just a few hours earlier, these classrooms were filled with hope. Learning again after 7 months stuck at home. But by midday, the Taliban broke its promise, a decision that the UN has called a major setback for Afghan girls.
The Secretary General says the denial of education not only violates the equal rights of women and girls to education, it also jeopardizes the country's future in view of the tremendous contributions by Afghan women and girls.
The Taliban Education Ministry has offered little in the way of explanation, saying, in Afghanistan, especially in the villages, the mindsets are not ready. We have some cultural restrictions. Still, schoolgirls came by the thousands for opening day, a sign that many families do believe their daughters deserve an education. The Islamic Emirate says we must live according to Islamic laws. So they need to please open the schools. Because it is in the Quran that both men and women are allowed to continue their education and study. No matter what these girls want for their future, they must wait for the men in power to decide if it is possible.
And joining me now for more is former MP and women's rights activist Fawzia Kufi. She was the first woman deputy speaker of Afghanistan's parliament and has sat across the table from the Taliban as a negotiator during talks in Doha. Ms. Kufi, welcome. Help us make sense of this. What do you think prompted this sudden turnaround from the Taliban?
Well, it's a very shocking and complicated decision, I would say. Yesterday, a lot of people in Afghanistan, 35 million or so, were mourning, basically. Not only girls who were deprived, but I think everyone who had a heart and who have a heart was disappointed with the, with the change of position, I would say. Well, the reasoning is that that the girls should go to school within the principles of Islam. Their uniform should be according to the Afghan cultural values. But from my perspective, these are just excuses. Their sudden decision to revert the initial announcement indicates that there is a division and that the Taliban are not, making decision on a cohesive basis, and there is no chain of command. People at lower level or ministerial level have a different level of decision-making power. People at the higher level have a decision, they control basically everything. And the important question is, who is basically the main decision-making body within Taliban? That is something we have been telling for the past 10 years, that who are we negotiating, who is the one making the decision. And this is obvious in the case of Taliban not allowing girls to go to school, despite their previous announcement, is that there is a huge division and they are divided.
When you speak of division, does that also imply that, therefore, there is at least one part in the Taliban that do want girls to return to school, to secondary schools?
They could have many motives. One of the motives is, yes, because their own girls go to school, and I have visited their families, I have met their families, their girls, their boys, that they go to school, that their families, mainly for most of the leadership, are not in Afghanistan. They are living in different countries. Their children attend, high quality education and universities. One motive could be that because their own family members go to school, go to work, and they understand the value of education. The second motive could be that, because they want to normalize sort of their relationship with the world, and the world has been emphasizing so much on girls' education that it has become a matter of bargaining for Taliban. For some hardliner, it's a matter of, taking the girls hostage so that the world gave them more. And for some others who are, so to say, pro-girls' education, it's for them to show that they have changed, that they want to have a better relationship with the world. So they have different motive, but whatever motive it is, my understanding is that there is a division, and I call on those actually through this channel within Taliban who believe that the girls should go to school, should speak up, should raise their voice, because it's not only a matter of girls' education, it's for the future of Afghanistan. And if they really claim that they're Afghans, they belong to that territory, they need to stand now.
I'm just curious, and I'm sorry I'm belaboring the point, but you have, let's call them the pragmatists whose children go to school abroad, some of them girls, and then you have the hardliners who don't want Afghan girls to go to schools. How do the pragmatists reconcile their children going to school with the views of the hardliners within the Taliban itself?
Very soon, this fragmentation is going to evolve further, I think, and those hardliners either will be marginalized or they will have the whole control, depending on the situation. One has to see. But my assumption is that there is a fragmentation, and that fragmentation was not obvious during the time that they were small group fighting in the mountains. It's going to even deepen and deepen with the fact that they're fighting over power, over resources, over everything, over issues. So this is going to even deepen over time.
So if the pragmatists are going to be marginalized, where does this leave Afghanistan's girls and their hopes for education?
Well, I mean, Afghanistan is the only country in the world from the Muslim and non-Muslim countries where women are not allowed to work, where girls are not allowed to school and education, where there is no woman in public life. And that makes the situation exceptionally disappointing and exceptionally devastating, I would say. And so therefore, I think it's not even about girls' hopes, which is important. It's not even about politics. It's about a country, because if there is a group that is so radical that do not respect the rights of 55% of the society and their policies on the basis of oppression and regression, that means how could they become a reliable partner for the world? How could they, ensure that Afghanistan soils are not used once again for military extremists? Because the more repressive they become, the more other military extremist groups try to use that vacuum and people's unhappiness. And therefore, Afghanistan can once again become a safe haven for military extremism, which could threaten the world's security. So it's not even a matter of politics or social issue. It is a matter of national security and an economical issue as well.
What is the message? I mean, you have a huge following. Lots of people follow you on social media as well. What would you tell an Afghan girl now? What can she look forward to?
What can I say? I was devastated, disappointed, heartbroken yesterday when I saw tears coming out of the Afghan girls' eyes. It was for them, it was tears. For us, it was blood coming out of our heart and our eyes. So I hope as a mother that the Taliban do not take our girls hostage. They must be ashamed of the way they govern Afghanistan. It's clear that they don't know how to govern. They must open for negotiation to inclusive government, respecting the diversity of Afghanistan, allowing our girls to go to school, because Afghanistan cannot live in marginalization with the rest of the Muslim world. Look at our neighbors. Look at the far Muslim countries. Look at Qatar, which was hosting negotiation for them. 15% of the Qatari women are more in school than the Qatari men. What Islam Taliban are representing? I don't understand this. So therefore, I think they have to be accountable. They must feel responsible, and the way they govern, it's not going to be sustainable. They must open for a political dialogue. My party is in Afghanistan. A lot of my party members are in Afghanistan. We are, preparing for reactions, but we know that it's going to be very difficult. We try to keep the voices alive, but my plea also to international community will be that they shouldn't, think that everything is normal. Discrimination does not know any border. If today we normalize it in Afghanistan, tomorrow it can reach our own borders. So they must use their leverage their financial, their diplomatic leverage over Taliban to make them accountable, not only on opening the schools, but also on respecting Afghanistan's diversity, inclusion, restoring constitutional order, and moving forward for a prosperous Afghanistan.
Fawzia Kufi, we will leave it there for the time being, but thank you so much and a pleasure to talk to you again.
Thank you.